Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The stories shared here are more than simple entertainment, they stay in your heart long after they end. If you enjoy emotional journeys, peaceful moments, unexpected friendships, and stories that feel genuine, then you've found the perfect place. So get comfortable, take a deep breath, and let this story carry you into a quiet, snow-covered world where life is about to change in the most unexpected way. A lonely road stretched before Emily like a ribbon of white, weaving through towering pine trees weighed down by fresh snow. The entire landscape looked untouched, almost frozen in time, as though nature itself had paused to let her pass. Tiny snowflakes drifted gently from the sky, brushing across the windshield with delicate softness instead of falling in heavy waves. She gripped the steering wheel with both hands, even though there wasn't another vehicle in sight. The silence of the empty road was strangely comforting, yet it carried a quiet loneliness that settled deep inside her. Her fingers tapped lightly against the leather, a nervous habit she had never managed to overcome. Every tap reminded her of the thoughts she had spent months trying to bury. It had been 3 months since her engagement ended. 3 long months since the future she had carefully planned disappeared after a single heartbreaking conversation. Looking back, maybe the warning signs had always been there. She simply hadn't wanted to believe them. Emily released a slow breath and fixed her eyes on the snowy road ahead. She kept reminding herself that this trip wasn't about escaping her past. It was about giving herself permission to heal. She wanted to feel something other than disappointment, exhaustion, and the emptiness that had followed her everywhere since her heart was broken. Vermont promised exactly what she needed during this season: quiet forests, frozen lakes, peaceful cabins, and endless nights lit only by a warm fireplace. There would be no crowded streets, no constant phone calls, and no painful reminders waiting around every corner. Just silence. By the time the cabin appeared between the trees, evening had begun to settle across the mountains. Thick gray clouds slowly swallowed the last traces of daylight, making the warm glow from the cabin stand out even more. Emily parked in the small gravel driveway and switched off the engine. She remained seated for a few seconds, simply listening. The silence wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. When she finally stepped outside, the freezing air instantly pushed through her coat. Pulling it closer around herself, she looked up at the cozy wooden cabin. It looked as though it had been lifted straight from a winter postcard. Fresh snow covered the roof, a thin stream of smoke drifted from the chimney, and a single porch light cast a welcoming glow across the snowy ground. For the first time in weeks, Emily felt the tightness in her chest begin to fade. She pictured herself sitting beside the fireplace with a good novel in one hand and a steaming mug of hot chocolate resting nearby. No buzzing phone. No painful memories. No expectations. Just peace. But the peaceful moment disappeared almost as quickly as it arrived. As she opened the trunk to unload her luggage, bright headlights suddenly appeared at the end of the narrow driveway. The lights grew closer through the falling snow until a black SUV slowly rolled to a stop beside her car. Emily stood frozen. She hadn't expected anyone. The cabin listing had clearly promised complete privacy, and she had checked every booking detail more than once. The driver's door opened, and a tall man stepped out, brushing snow from his jacket before looking toward her. Surprise crossed his face the moment he realized she was already there. "Hi," he said carefully. "I think we've got a problem. There must have been some kind of booking mistake." Emily frowned. "What do you mean?" "I reserved this cabin for the entire weekend." The man looked equally confused. "So did I." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Standing in the cold, they each pulled out their phones and compared their reservation confirmations. Everything matched. Same cabin. Same booking website. Same dates. Same confirmation. Emily let out a frustrated sigh. "You've got to be kidding." The man rubbed the back of his neck, clearly just as shocked. "The nearest town is over an hour away," he said quietly. "And it's already getting dark," Emily replied. He glanced toward the snowy road. Honestly, I don't think my SUV should be driving those roads again tonight. An awkward silence settled between them before he finally smiled politely. I'm Daniel. Emily. She looked toward the cabin, then back at him. There are 2 bedrooms. Maybe we can stay here for tonight and sort everything out in the morning. Daniel thought for only a second before nodding. That seems like the smartest option. Then he added with a small grin. And just so you know, I'm definitely not a serial killer. Emily couldn't stop herself from laughing. Good. That would have made tonight incredibly uncomfortable. Together, they carried their bags inside. Warm air instantly surrounded them, replacing the bitter cold outside. The cabin smelled of pine wood and aged timber, creating a feeling that was both peaceful and familiar. A stone fireplace waited quietly in the corner, while 2 bedrooms and a small kitchen completed the cozy little retreat. Emily placed her bags near the entrance and took a slow breath. Sharing a cabin with a complete stranger had never been part of her plan, but something about Daniel's calm and respectful manner made the situation feel surprisingly safe. Emily set her luggage beside the door and inhaled deeply. Even after stepping inside the warm cabin, everything still felt a little unreal. Spending the night with a complete stranger wasn't how she had imagined this trip. Still, Daniel's calm and respectful nature helped ease her worries. He never crossed any boundaries and made sure she felt comfortable in the unfamiliar situation. I can get the fireplace started, Daniel said with a friendly smile. Emily nodded appreciatively. Thank you. I'd really like that. A few moments later, the fireplace came alive. The gentle crackling of burning logs filled the quiet cabin while golden flames painted soft shadows across the wooden walls. The warmth slowly chased away the bitter cold, transforming the cabin into a peaceful refuge from the storm outside. At first, their conversation stayed light. They joked about the booking error, talked about the snowy drive, and laughed at how unpredictable the weather had become. It was safe conversation, free from anything too personal. Yet beneath those simple words, both of them sensed the same truth. They hadn't come to Vermont just for a vacation. They had come to escape the weight they had been carrying. As evening settled in, the snowfall grew heavier. Strong winds rushed through the pine trees, causing the windows to tremble every few moments. Emily stood beside the glass, quietly watching the snow dance through the darkness. I don't think either of us is leaving tonight, she said softly. Daniel walked over and looked outside before giving a small nod. I think you're right. There wasn't even a hint of frustration in his voice. Instead, there was quiet acceptance, as though he had already made peace with the unexpected change of plans. Surprisingly, Emily didn't feel nervous anymore. For the first time in months, her thoughts weren't trapped in painful memories. She wasn't replaying old arguments or wondering what she could have done differently. She was simply enjoying the warmth of the cabin, the peaceful silence, and the unexpected comfort of the present moment. Later that evening, they shared a simple dinner before settling beside the fireplace with steaming mugs of tea. Daniel quietly watched the dancing flames, his face thoughtful as though memories were passing silently through his mind. Emily almost asked what had brought him to this lonely cabin, but she stopped herself. Some stories couldn't be forced. They revealed themselves only when trust had found enough room to grow. Outside, the storm became louder with every passing hour, but inside the cabin, everything felt calm. Emily leaned back against the couch as the warmth of the fire slowly relaxed her tired body. Before long, her eyes became too heavy to keep open. Daniel noticed she had fallen asleep. Without making a sound, he gently draped a blanket over her shoulders before quietly making his way to his room. Neither of them realized it then, but the unexpected booking mistake that had brought 2 strangers together was about to leave a permanent mark on both of their lives.